Hi, and welcome to the National New Teacher Support Podcast, brought to you by New Teacher University. And I'm your host, Dr. Terry Ross. At New Teacher University, our goal is to make your first years your foundational years and some of your most memorable years. Our goal is also to make sure that new teachers have a strong foundation to have longevity in this career. Not only do we want you to have longevity, we want you to enjoy teaching. And tonight, we're going to talk about teacher wellness, because teacher wellness and your self-care is going to be the key to your longevity. And I have with us tonight a trained yoga instructor, Ms. Keyva Riley, and she is also the owner of SoulFull Yoga. And Ms. Riley is going to talk with us tonight again about teacher wellness, self-care, and mindfulness. Ms. Riley, if you would introduce yourself, we'd appreciate it.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Like you said, my name is Keyva Riley. I am a 200-hour certified yoga instructor. I am also a school social worker for Shelby County Schools. I began my yoga journey in 2014. I was working for the Department of Children's Services at the time, and I ended up becoming very ill, and my doctor took me out of work. I was at home. My family all had to go to school and work, so I was bored. We had a YMCA membership, so I said, let me find a class to take, and yoga was a class that was available during the day. And I just started off to be able to get out the house and to be around other people during the day. Little did I know the lasting positive effect yoga will have on my life and my family's life. I'm the only one in my family that is in yoga, but I have expressed to them the joys of it, and I talk to them about it a lot, so they utilize some of it. And so tonight I want to talk to you all about self-care, mindfulness, and yoga as forms of self-care, like he said, to help you stay in this career for a very long time. So I hope you enjoy and will utilize some of the things that I'm speaking to you about today.
So thank you so much. And I appreciate that, because that's sort of how I was introduced to yoga. It was during the time that I was off, in transition for work. I was not actually off. I was in between jobs, and I had a lot of time, and I just took yoga at a gym, and it really changed my life in terms of I was looking for the body effects of the stretching, but what it did for my mind in terms of learning how to slow down and breathe and learning the power of the breaths. So thank you so much. And at this time, we're going to share our screen, Ms. Riley, and you just come to us in your own way.
Okay, I'm going to start off with just what is the definition of self-care. So in the dictionary definition of self-care, one of them is the practice of taking an active role in protecting one's own well-being and happiness, in particular during periods of stress. So like he said, self-care is something that's talked a lot about right now. We all can benefit from it, and it is something that we can do for ourselves. So one of the first parts of self-care for me is mindfulness. And mindfulness it's really important to practice it every day. And if you see the word mindful, so sometimes in life, our mind can be full, or we can practice being mindful. They're two different things. In life, our mind is usually full of what we have to do during the day, what we didn't accomplish, just what we heard, where we can be mindful of the things we have accomplished during the day. The sun is shining. The birds are chirping. We're alive. There are lots of things to be mindful of instead of keeping our mind full of things that we have no control over.
So thank you for sharing the difference between mindful and mindfulness. So what exactly is mindfulness?
There are 10 tenets of practicing mindfulness. And on those 10 tenets consist of mindful moments, awareness of breathing, body awareness, awareness of thoughts, single task focusing, social support, altruism, attention to the small wonders of life, mindfulness at work, and lastly, acceptance, flexibility, and non-judgmentalism. Now, that first one, mindful moments, it's talking about sometimes when we get stressed, we say things like, I'm just going to go home and I just want to tune out and veg out. I don't want to be bothered with anything. Mm-hmm. Well, making that into a mindful moment would be saying, I'm not going to tune out. I'm going to tune in to what's really bothering me. I'm going to tune in to how my body is telling me that I'm having stress. So being mindful consists of the mindful moment is tuning in more closely to your experience and to respond to life with more clarity and wisdom. Okay. The second part is awareness.
And running away, lean into what you're feeling and let it speak to you.
Yes. Okay. And that's okay. It could be a fleeting moment, or it could be something that, hey, I need to sit down with this.
Okay.
For a little bit just to get through it.
Okay.
Next is awareness of breathing. Again, breath is life. If you're not breathing, you're what?
That's the alternative.
But being aware of your breath is a whole nother thing. We breathe naturally. That's just what we do. But your breath can tell you if you're hot or you're cold.
Yes.
If you're stressed or unstressed. And sometimes if you're sick or not. So part of being aware of our breath is we need to really focus our attention on our breathing. There are times when we get stressed and we breathe like that. If we just focus on our breathing, yes. Deep breath in for a count of 10, hold it at the top, deep breath out for a count of 10. It can slow down our blood pressure. It can slow down our heart rate, and it can definitely slow down a racing mind because you are taking all of your attention to that breath. While you're breathing, your mind may wander. Bring it back. I need to breathe in for 10, hold it at the top, breathe out for 10. And you continue to do that until you feel your whole body calm down. And it doesn't have to be when you're stressed out. It could just be, hey, I just want to focus on my breathing and take some deep breaths.
Yes.
We may not know that we are stressed or our blood pressure is high because we may not feel those symptoms. But by taking some deep breaths, pausing for a minute or two, you can feel your body relax in a whole different way.
And that's prevention over treatment.
Yes. Next up is body awareness. That leads right into body awareness. So for body awareness, you should become familiar with those parts of your body that are usually tense when you are stressed. Give them a tension check. What I do every morning before I get out of bed, I do a full body scan while I'm laying in the bed with my eyes closed. I just start thinking about my toes and move up my body. Is there any part of my body that is causing me any pain, discomfort? If I feel any of that as I go from my toes to my ankles to my knees, just up my body in my mind, if there's any body part that is like feeling a certain kind of way, I concentrate on that. I do some deep breathing. We can do that body awareness walking down the hallway. You know, ooh, I walked my knee.
Yes.
Pay more attention to that. Give it some grace.
I can remember I was having difficulty with the body scan, and my yoga instructor said, pretend that you're a piece of paper on the copier and the light is just coming over you. And that really helped me. And I was shocked at some of the spaces that I felt things. And sometimes it may not have been physical. It may have been emotional that I felt there. But I had to deal with it, and it helped me to really recognize it. So thank you for sharing that with our audience tonight.
Yeah, our shoulders and our neck, our back hold the majority of our stress.
Okay.
So sometimes if we're feeling, oh, my back is hurting, my neck or my shoulders, it may be stress. We just may need to take some time, like I said, do a body scan to understand if it's stress or injury.
Yes.
The fourth one is awareness of thoughts. This one was real important to me. It took me a lot of time. I stayed on this step for a while because it involves take a moment to see where your thoughts are. Are they focused on what you're doing right now, or are they somewhere else? Doing that, being aware of my thoughts, especially when I was stressed or students were not cooperative, we'll say in that manner. Being aware of the thoughts that I have going through my mind helped me to relate to that student. If I was aware of when I came into this building, I was already stressed from the drive. So when this student comes up and I don't want to deal with you, I don't want to talk to you. If I'm not aware of the thought that I was stressed from my drive, I may lash out at the student. Maybe not. I may not give them what they're asking for non-verbally. So being aware of, is this really what's going on? Or is it something else going on? Is very important. And I practice that daily, being aware of my thoughts.
Absolutely. And just having that opportunity when I started during the pandemic, the positive thinking and being aware of my thoughts, because I had to become aware of my thoughts first to even understand that I was stuck in a negative pattern of thinking. Yes. And our thinking actually creates our reality. And I realized that as I began to change my thinking and I began to change how I looked at myself, I began to change how I looked at others. And my reality began to change. So being aware of those thoughts and just really intentional for me to, every time a negative thought come up, think of what could be the opposite of that that's good. And that's how intentional I had to be. And I'll share some more intentionality with you later on if the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, that when he and I first had our first meeting and spoke, I told him I have taken certain words out of my vocabulary. And that is my awareness of my thoughts. I do not use the word hate in my vocabulary.
No.
If we use positive words, we get positive results.
Absolutely.
Awareness of thoughts. So next is single focus tasking in the school system. So we're going to see, but single focus tasking, dealing with mindfulness, is just come back to the task at hand. Yes. We know you have 15 other things to do. We just compartment one at a time.
Wow.
One at a time.
Let's finish this. Let's finish this task.
Yes. Go on to the next task. If we don't finish that task, it's okay. If we need to go on to the next task and we haven't finished that one, fine, but we're not trying to do 5 tasks at once.
Yeah.
We know there's deadlines in the school. We know there's parents calling, principals asking for things. You only have 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 brain. Focus on one thing at a time. Yes. Get it done.
Yes. Thank you.
It takes a lot of stress off of you knowing. Then you can pat yourself on the back and make a mindful moment. Going back to number 1 on, I got 3 things off my list. It don't matter, there's 10 more left. I accomplished 3.
Yes.
So next after that is social support. Social support is what kept me going into yoga. I didn't mention that in 2021 during the pandemic was when I became a certified yoga instructor. It had been on my heart to want to do it, but sitting at home, I said, I have nothing but time. I went ahead and did it. But social support, going to those classes, really helped me, because the first yoga classes I went to were silver sneakers yoga classes with a lot of retirees. So I thought, I'm gonna get this with no problem. They can't beat me. I learned that day, but they encouraged me to keep coming back. So having social support is very important. And it could be another teacher at your school, another school, a family member, a friend, just somebody, not just somebody to vent and complain to. That's a difference.
Yes.
Social support is someone who is almost like-minded. That's when to listen and give you advice. So after social support is altruism. I have to really work on saying that word, altruism. So in altruism, you need to find small ways to give to others. It could just be a smile to a stranger. I speak to anybody that I walk by in the hallway.
Yes.
In public, I speak to people. I'll hold the door. I'm a woman. I'll hold the door for a man, and he'll have to tell me, "You're not gonna do that for me, ma'am. Don't do that." You never know what small thing you could do for another person that could change their day.
Mm-hmm.
And you do get something back in return. You may not get that smile back or that thank you back, but if you use that as a mindful moment of, hey, I accomplished a good deed for today,
Mm-hmm.
you will continue on. I tell the students that I work with that if I can help you to become kind and you're kind to the next person, they're kind to the next person, before we know it, all we have is a world full of kind people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It starts with one.
It starts with one. The eighth one is attention to the small wonders of life. We forget about that as adults, the small wonders.
Yes.
So every day will be enhanced if you take a moment to slow down, stop, and pay attention to something of wonder around you, especially if you're stuck in traffic. That's a good thing to look around you and see, what am I looking at? It may just be a billboard.
Mm-hmm.
That billboard wasn't always there. Sometimes when I'm driving out to my yoga class that I do on Sundays, it's all the way out in Eads, I know that route by the back of my hand, like the back of my hand now. But there are times I'm driving and I never noticed that tree was right there. I didn't notice that billboard was there. And at times I say, I remember, because my dad is from Memphis. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I would come down here as a little girl. And on that route, sometimes I say, that wasn't always right there. When I was little, I remember that was a field. And that helps me too, because I have memories. It brings back good memories, and I smile. So we need to, just the small things. It's the small wonders of life. Oh, a bird built a nest above my door. It may be a problem getting back in that door sometimes, but that's a wonder of life. We have to find them for ourselves. They're not going to be given to us.
Absolutely. I literally just told my daughter she started an intern in a different location. And I told her, I said, pay attention on your way there and back. I said, just focus on the drive. I said, because you're getting out of class and you're doing other things and you're just rushing there. I said, one day you'll be driving, you'll look up and you'll think you're lost because you didn't take time. And I told her my senior year in college, I did my student teaching during football season. So that was tough because I played football at Jackson State. And so we'd get up in the morning and go to practice at 5:30. I could practice until 6:30, run in, get a shower, had to be at the school, I think, for like 7:30 or 8. And I would just drive back and forth, back and forth. Well, this particular day, spring training, no, we were in the fall. It was in my fall semester. We had an off week. So we weren't practicing that morning, but I still had to do my student teaching. And I was taking my time driving in. I stopped and bought me a big gulp, and I literally had to stop and pull over because I did not know where I was, because I had never looked up at the route. I was just driving every morning. And I had been driving it for several months, and I literally felt like I was in the twilight zone. So you're exactly right. Paying that single attention to what you're doing in those small things, looking around, just even when the grass and the leaves change, notice that and enjoy it. Mm-hmm. So thank you for sharing that, just being in the moment and noticing those small things, like when a student come in with a new haircut.
Yes.
Or a new hairstyle, some different braids or something, noticing that, and that makes them feel good. And then you stopped and you've also done some, what's that, altruism?
Yes.
And you paid attention to some of the small things.
Yes. And that can in turn help that student think about the small wonders of life too.
Yes. Yes.
Next is mindfulness at work, which is and I'm pausing because it's being mindful at work sometimes can be difficult because it requires to take a break. Being mindful at work requires you to take a break as needed.
Yes.
You may not be able to. You may need a break in the middle of teaching a class and you're not able to. So my suggestion would be, I know you may not have a break in between every class. You may have to be standing outside the door during class change if you're in middle school or high school and some elementary schools where those could still be mindful moments. You're standing at the door. You can do a few stretches, arms overhead. You can march in place. It's giving your body a break. Really, we should be taking about 250 steps minimum every hour. So being mindful at work is giving yourself time to take a lunch. You are allotted a lunch break.
Yes.
You are allotted a lunch break, not lunch grading papers. A lunch break to eat your lunch.
Mindfully.
Mindfully. With other colleagues, by yourself. If you're able to walk outside during that time, if the weather's nice, walk outside. We have to make time for ourselves. Time is not going to come to us. We have to make time. But during a work day in a school, I understand the difficulty of it, but we have to, again, a mindful moment to take care of ourselves. Our mind is full of all we have to do for the day. This is first period, second period, I have to do this, got to grade the papers, I have to call this parent, I have to do that. Oh, during this 2 minutes in between classes, I'm going to be mindful. I'm going to practice some deep breathing. I'm going to walk in place. I'm going to do some stretches. I'm going to practice altruism. I'm going to tell every child that comes in this classroom something about them. Like the teacher that does the handshakes, he's practicing altruism with every student that walks through that door. And in turn, he feels good about it.
Yes.
So those are just suggestions of being mindful at work.
But imagine the power of a teacher sharing that mindful moment with the students, teaching them to say, okay, let's stop. And I want everyone to look to your right and pay a compliment. Mm-hmm. And then you look back and pay a compliment. Imagine everybody stopping for a moment and doing a brain jam. That's when we used to do the infinity symbol. And this would help connect the left brain to the right brain to get the students ready to read. So that because they're reading from what, left to right. Mm-hmm. So, and then doing it with both hands. That's a little stretching move, but it's also a little just move to like relax the mind. But asking the students, let's take 3 deep breaths together.
And practicing with the students gives you that mindful moment, and it gives them that experience also. Absolutely,
because I've had so many students that come into offices, and like now I work with multiple schools, and I'll see students come into the office and they're all balled up, and the first thing I do is say, take a deep breath, and they don't want to do it, but every time that I push them to breathe in completely, hold it for a second, and then breathe out, is usually that on that exhale, I get a little smile, or I could see those weights kind of just dropping from them. Mm-hmm. So the power that's in that breath, and for teachers to stop and practice that mindfulness with the students, is extremely powerful. Yes, yes, it is. And the last one is acceptance, flexibility, and non-judgmentalism. This is, telling yourself to be creative and flexible. Give yourself permission to adapt and shape your efforts to your own needs. Don't judge yourself. Don't be critical of yourself, because we are our biggest critics. We can beat ourselves up more than outside people. Yes, we can. Do what we can do. We can only do what we can do. Absolutely. It may not always work, telling your principal that I can only do what I can do. If you keep that in mind for yourself, that you can only do what you can do in a positive way,
you can accomplish the other tasks that you have, because today all I could do is these 3. Tomorrow I could do the next 3. The next day I could do the next 3, and take it like that, versus this all I could do is these 3 and I'm done. You can say the same thing and it have 2 different meanings.
Yes.
So being able to just accept, I have a lot of papers to grade. Don't judge yourself. And a lot of stress can fall off of you, and being flexible is the big one in that. Acceptance, flexibility, and non-judgmental, and being flexible, because you may be starting off on one task, even though we're being single task oriented, but it segues into another one. Okay, I have to be flexible. I couldn't finish that one, and now I have to go, especially if a comes in and wants to talk to you about something, you need to be kind of flexible with that. But those are the tenets of mindfulness. And one of the last parts of it is, mindfulness is not a test of your skills, nor is it a competition.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that piece. And I want to go circle back to that judgmental piece, because it's hard on us when we're judging ourselves and when we're putting weight on ourselves. But I think it's even harder when we judge others.
Oh, yes.
So we need to be careful of that, because when I read the top, the phrase, the observer is the observed, that really stung me, because that meant whatever I'm looking at outside of me and judging, I'm really saying that thing is inside of me. And that took away a lot of negative talk about anyone else, because only reason I can recognize those other emotions and those other things is because I have some of it in me.
Yes.
And as I began to change me and change my language, as we talked about earlier with the positive self-talk and monitoring what we're thinking and ourselves, it just started to change my whole reality. Things that used to bother me no longer existed. It exists, but while it's still going, I felt like I was on another plane, and it didn't really bother me the way it did, because I had cleansed myself of that. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes, that is very, very important to, like I said, not judge yourself nor judge others. And what you just explained is one of the tenets of yoga, that if you're judging somebody else, you are really speaking of yourself. So
I've been doing the work.
Yes, if that's something that you feel is you don't like about that person, and you need to work on that within yourself.
Yes.
So yes, you are working on yourself there. But those are the 10 tenets of mindfulness, and practicing mindfulness helped me in my yoga practice. Like I said, I started off at the YMCA in the silver sneakers class, thinking I could do this, and these older people are not going to do it better than me. I learned quickly, but there was one instructor who, Holly Beckett was her name, and she is the person that showed me that yoga is mental. The poses are an outward expression. Yoga literally means the union of your body, mind, and soul. Yoga poses improve the body. You improve the mind in the yoga lifestyle through meditation and deep breathing. When you have your body and your mind together, your soul is one.
Wow. Let me get back in yoga.
So my yoga practice consists more of meditation and deep breathing. I may get on my mat once a week. I was at one point 6 days a week on my mat, when I was not understanding the mental aspects of yoga. I was thinking just about the poses. So I'm at every yoga class I could go to. A lot of people have a misconception that yoga is about putting your leg behind your head. No. Some people have the misconception that my body size, I can't do yoga. Yoga is for anybody, 2 words.
Yes.
And everybody, 2 words.
Yes.
It's not about bending yourself and putting your leg behind your head. In yoga, as in mindfulness also, there is no competition.
Right.
Your practice is your practice. If the pose is touch your toes and all you could do is your hands touch your knees, that is your yoga practice, and that is absolutely okay.
Right.
It is not about folding yourself up. It is more about learning to open yourself up. The meditation, and you can do meditation for 1 minute, an hour. Some people can do it for a really long time. My favorite form of meditation is a walking meditation. And that's a double benefit. You're walking, getting that exercise, and you're meditating. To do a walking meditation, you are literally, while you're walking, all you're doing is watching your feet, one foot in front of the other. I give myself a mantra, which is just a saying I say to myself over and over. It may be love, might be the word for my mantra. And as I'm walking and watching my feet hit that ground, I say my word. If my mind starts to wander, I go back to my word. I go back to my word. And before I know it, all that's going through my mind is whatever my word is. Meditation also can lower your blood pressure. Meditation can lower heart rate. Meditation can help, is utilized in some forms of mental health treatment. So that to me is for yoga to start off with the meditation. You might want to do the poses. Really, yoga, it's your practice. It's what you want to do. It's for anybody and everybody, like I said. And again, I'm in a traditional yoga class. I'm certified in what's considered American yoga, what most people know. The class I'm taking at the Hindu temple is in traditional yoga from thousands of years ago. And some of the things that were taught to me in this class that I utilize, I'm going to share some few things with you all. One of the first things I want to share with you all is laughter is medicine.
Yes.
Laughter is medicine. If you laugh for 1 minute a day, I mean, laugh like belly laugh, almost tears coming out your eyes, you will add 1 day to your life.
Is that 1 minute straight, or can I add those minutes up, those seconds up?
1 minute straight. If you can laugh for 1 minute straight with deep belly laugh, tears coming out your eyes, you will add 1 day to your life.
All right, let me get started.
And then you can watch a comedy special, whatever, but laughter is medicine. Another important point I want to share with you all that I'm learning in this class is all our lives we're taught we have one heart when we really have two hearts. Our heart on the left side gives us life, pumps the blood, but that's also the heart for pain and hurt. We also have a heart on the right side, which is our heart for love and joy and laughter. In yoga, they start off most poses on the right side. So you're starting out with love. When you get out of the bed in the morning, you should roll over to your right side and get out so that your heart for love on the right side opens up. And you start your day with that heart being open. So we have two hearts. Try to keep that right side heart open more. Breathing, again, like I said, is very important. I've learned through this class that my body temperature stays a little higher. So I'm hotter more often. And how you can test to know if you're hot or if you're cool is just put your finger under your nose and breathe. If more air comes out of your right nostril, you're warmer. If more air comes out of your left nostril, you're cooler. Our body is split down the middle, right to left. Right is heat, left side is cool. I could talk on and on about this forever, but that is a way to know. And if you want to, certain yoga poses, if you breathe in and you realize, okay, it's on the right side, I'm more hot. There's yoga poses you could do to cool your body down. There's yoga poses you could do to warm your body up if it's on the left side. If you are interested in yoga poses, YouTube is excellent. I recommend a yogini, and in yoga, a woman is called a yogini, a man is a yogi. Her name is Jessamine Stanley. Awesome. Yoga with Adrian is really good also, but you can literally go to YouTube and put yoga for sore shoulders, yoga for sore ankles, or if you're having an ailment, or yoga for heart openers, and you will get thousands of videos. You could say beginners, middle, moderate, advanced, and find videos to do. Some of them are 5 minutes, some of them go to an hour. It is your choice. Your practice is your practice. Excuse me, to do as often and as much as you like. There is a practice of yoga called restorative yoga, and people that aren't into yoga will be like, oh, just laying on your back and look like you're sleeping, but you are restoring yourself.
Okay.
So everyone in the world has a yoga practice, even though they don't know it. Been practicing yoga all their lives. If you've ever stood in a line, that's a yoga pose. When you lay on your back in the bed, that's a yoga pose. Excuse me. If you ever sat on the floor cross-legged, yoga pose. You ever touched your toes, yoga pose. Everyone in the world has a yoga practice. We may not do it every day, but we all have a yoga practice. So in this, I will hope you want to explore more about mindfulness, utilize some of the things that I've talked about. Definitely, if you have the time, explore more about yoga. It's not just a pose. You can start at home if you want to join a class. I like going to classes. I teach yoga. I do not have a studio anywhere. My email for that is soulfulyoga74@gmail.com, and it's full, SOULFULL yoga. If you want to email me about some things like that, because I can go on and on about yoga and mindfulness, and I know we have to cut this short. So if there's any questions, I'm here to answer them. But again, namaste, which is what we say at the end of every yoga class. The light in me sees the light in you.
Thank you so much. And this has been so beneficial. And I love the way that you tied it into teaching and what teachers can do, because new teachers, we definitely want you to have longevity in this career, and we want you to have longevity, period. So mindfulness, yoga, those are just two ways to help you with longevity, but they are two very important ways. And thank you so much, Ms. Riley, for sharing those strategies with us tonight. Are there any closing words that you'd like to share with our new teachers?
What I would like to share with all new teachers is love yourself.
Yes.
Love everybody else, and the love will come back to you.
Absolutely.
Again, namaste.
Namaste. And teach your children love. Feel free to use the word love in your classroom, new teachers, because our children need it. It's the healing that we need for the world, and it's free. It doesn't cost us any extra. The gifts is something that we just do, but paying a person a compliment, stopping to talk with them, giving them just a few minutes from time to time, and noticing the swings in your students' emotions, let them know that they matter to you. So thank you so much for joining us on the National New Teacher Support Podcast, brought to you by New Teacher University. I'm your host, Dr. Terry Ross, and thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you next week right here on the National New Teacher Support Podcast. Have a great week. This is spring break season, teachers. It's a great opportunity for you to start practicing some yoga. As Ms. Riley stated, make sure you YouTube it, Google it. You can find tons of it out there. There are even apps. Enjoy your spring break, and let's get some mindfulness in. Thank you.